Welcome to Body Buddies, home of the Power Foods lifestyle. Take it one meal, one workout, one day at a time. And now, here's the founder of Body Buddies, Kristy Jo.
Hi, Body Buddies. I'm Kristy Jo. I am a mind and body strategist, fitness nutrition specialist, and certified personal trainer. My goal is to help you learn how to think, how to eat, how to train more strategically, and power your body so you can power your life. I'm so happy you're here. I'm actually jumping in here in 2017 to just tell you a little bit of what has happened since this original recording at the end of 2014. So about 3 years ago, this original recording came live on fasting. I'm excited to share that with you today, whether you're listening to it for the first time or it's a repeated listen for you as you are approaching fasting. I'm so glad you're here and value each and every one of your listens. So thank you so much for that. For those of you who are new, definitely encourage you to subscribe and listen to 2 or 3 podcasts that's going to give you a little more full view of what we do here at Body Buddies. The number one thing we work on is empowering you through education. We know that any change that happens in our bodies, in our health, in our mindset, it comes first from education, and that motivation is created through proper understanding of what's going on and the outcome, the benefit of making changes, or I would rather say optimizations in our life. So in this recording, you're going to hear a lot about the physiology of fasting. You're going to learn what goes into the process, what constitutes a fast, who should or should not be fasting, some of the things to watch out for, and what you need to do to be psychologically mindful as you fast as well. So this is a great starting point for learning about fasting. And then I encourage you to jump into the recent episode, podcast episode number 164, which is going to talk about how to make that fast really effective and make it an enjoyable process. So I encourage you to listen to that after this as well. One final note before I give you the original 2014 recording is that now 3 years later, I do have a 10-day Power Foods detox program. Now it's kind of cute. You're going to hear me rant for a little bit in this episode, the original, about how I don't believe in detoxes. Now, nothing has changed in my stance. And if you listen closely, I talk about how I do not believe in these fast fixes, these crazy, the juice cleanses, the starvation diets. A detox done properly should be a proper fueling of your body to give it the nutrients it needs to begin the process of freeing your body from any extra free radicals or toxins that have been hanging around beyond what your body should naturally be flushing through. See, your organs are designed to do this naturally, but sometimes our habits or our environment get in the way of that. And one of the best ways we can start to help our bodies work for us and get those organs functioning properly again, avoiding the oxidative stress that comes from having those extra toxins and free radicals and pathogens hang around, because that causes inflammation, which is the root cause of all disease. So one of the best things you can do is just jump on this 10-day Power Foods detox so you can start not only practicing the habits of what's needed in a strategic eating lifestyle, but give your body, give your hormones, give your body that jump start. Your digestive tract is going to love you at the end of this as a result of your focus. So you can learn more at powerfoodsdetox.com. I take a group through this at the beginning of every single month. So we do start, day 0 is optional and it is a fast. And so that's why you're probably listening to this, whether you heard about it from the Power Foods Detox or whether you just started looking up podcast on fasting. Just definitely encourage you to check it out because it is changing people's lives. It's getting them on the right path to make progress, to make sustainable lifestyle changes, to get that confidence, get the momentum going. I am here for you. I love what I do. I love seeing you change your life. So I look forward to seeing you in the 10-day Power Foods Detox whenever you are ready. All right, guys, now let's listen to myself from 3 years ago. Here we go. So first of all, let's talk about what fasting is. Many of you may be familiar with it for religious purposes or for political reform. There's also a lot of talk in the nutrition world about something called intermittent fasting. And I'll dive into that a little bit later, but I think this is a pretty versed topic here that most people are going to know a little bit about it. So the first thing I'd like to go over is what constitutes fasting. Because we could argue, oh, well, I slept for 10 hours and then I woke up and then I ate. Was that fasting? Technically, by the definition I'm going to give you, we're going to say yes. So I'm going to put a very loose time frame on it as around 10 hours if you're going without food. So obviously, your body's in a different environment when you're sleeping. Your metabolic rate is dramatically reduced, and so you're not burning as many calories because your body's at rest. That's going to be very different than if this were 10 hours going without food. When you're awake, your body functions at a higher rate because you're moving. Even if you're sitting at a desk all day, even slight movements, that's more than if you were sleeping, right? So yeah, 10 hours is going to be our loose time frame. Most people and religions or political reform, fasting is going to be encouraged from anywhere like 24 to 48 hours. And so, okay, I think by now many of you know I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka Mormon Church. So we actually do a fast once a month. And it's called Fast Sunday. And I'll tell you what, when I was a little girl, those Sundays never moved so slowly. And that was not fun. And it was still, this was a very difficult topic. And I guess I'm going to bring this topic up a little bit sooner than I intended to. But it was difficult for me, especially because of my background with disordered eating and my associations with food in my mind. And it was really interesting as I was really studying up on the topic to present this to you all. A lot of these articles, they talked about how important it is for somebody that is a little bit all over the place mentally with food, or perhaps has an eating disorder, that it can actually exacerbate or make worse the problem itself. And so it's something to be aware of. In some of my clients, this has been a fear. Actually, there's a fear of fasting, of going without food. And as I was going through my initial changing period 2.5 years ago, this was a big topic I had to address in my mind. I had to look deep inside and say, what am I afraid of? Why can't I go without food? It was something that was very hard for me. And I would push, I would make excuses, whether it was gorge on something late at night because I knew the next morning was Fast Sunday, so I would justify going to Taco Bell and slamming like 4 burritos at 2 a.m. Does this ring a bell for any of you out there? And then Sunday morning, you wake up, you feel sick, you're full, so you're like, oh, fasting is not going to be a problem. And then you can make it your designated period of time where a lot of people like to, air quotes, break their fast or end their fast as soon as they're done with church. If you have 9 a.m. church, that's like noon. That's hardly a fast. So, keeping in mind that there's a very scientific process to fasting. So I'm hoping through this episode that I'll be able to lay some of these principles out, whether you are someone who regularly fasts, whether you are someone that at the end of this, you think it's, oh, maybe that's a good idea. There's a lot of benefits, health benefits to doing this periodically. I hope that you come away with this with some scientific principles that will help you to talk yourself through the process as you're going through it, instead of looking for ways to justify and cut some corners. It's both a spiritual and a physical, kind of a rejuvenation, I think, if done correctly. And so I hope, once again, I hope this is helpful. I hope that anything I put out there is helpful. And if it's not, great. It's fun for me to talk to my microphone. So, all right. So let's go into what it feels like and the different periods of where you're at with your fast. So let's say the night before you begin a fast, that you have a normal Power Foods lifestyle meal, whether it's a PVC, protein, veggie, carb, or PVF, protein, veggie, fat. If these are new acronyms to you, please read my book, The Power Foods Lifestyle. You can get it on Amazon or on my website, www.body-buddies.com. So if you have a normal meal, you should wake up in the morning and then you abstain from food or drink. Now, some types of fasting, you do drink water, but I'm just gonna, from here on out, what I'm implying is total fast, food and water, okay? In some medical circumstances, water is encouraged. And real quick, while I'm on this topic, people who should not be fasting include pregnant women, nursing women, children, and I'm not going to put an age on that, but do some research yourself. And then also people with medical conditions who have been advised by a doctor that that's not a wise thing to do. In some cases, there's with elderly people, it's not a wise idea. Their body doesn't recuperate as quickly. And so just know that there are some situations where fasting isn't going to be the best thing for you, and seek to understand if you are one of those people or not. Not looking for a way to justify not fasting, but obviously if it's gonna mess up your body a little bit, then we don't want to be doing that. The goal is to improve the body, improve the mind. That's what we're all about here at Body Buddies. All right, so if you had a normal meal the night before, you should wake up, and we're used to eating within an hour of waking up, as the Power Foods lifestyle teaches us, in order to get that metabolism ramped up and revved and burning throughout the day. So when you don't have that meal, you'll probably get to a point of being hungry. You'll probably begin to feel hunger. And what that feels like initially is in your stomach. It's not in your mind. In your mind, you have to separate the psychological need for food versus what your body is actually telling you. So this should feel a little bit like some stabbing or some wrenching around of your stomach. Some people do hit a point when their stomach has been empty long enough that you can actually hear the stomach, and we call them grumbling pains. Or you might call them something else, but that's, your stomach grumbles. That's what we always said in my family. And you can actually hear it. And if you're sitting next to someone on fast Sunday at church, at least in my church, you tend to hear people's stomach growl. Now, here's the interesting thing. Knowing what I know, I can almost pinpoint when they last ate their meal and how big that meal was, depending on what time in the day it was. Because here's the thing, your stomach will growl for a certain period of time, a few hours maybe, after you have eliminated the food from your stomach. You still are processing through your intestines. That takes, anywhere from 6 hours to a few days, depending on what the combination of food is. It takes time to pass through your system. So you will hit a point, and you may have experienced this, where the grumbling stops and it just goes quiet. And that is when your body has actually shifted over. And this is such a cool thing, because this kind of incorporates some of the science I've talked about in carb cycling, as I've referred to ketogenic dieting, and your body utilizing glycogen and glucose versus using fat for energy. So when that stomach stops growling, that's because your body has recognized we're not getting any more food, and it shifts over. So at that point, it realizes no more glucose is going to be coming in. So then it's looking around for active glucose in the body. Most particularly, it's going to first go to the glycogen storage, which is in your liver and in your muscular sites. Depending on how long you fast, typically this will not happen under 48 hours. So I'm not recommending you go over 48 hours, but if you are someone that's been familiar with carb cycling, especially if you've been one of my clients and I've taken you through the process of carb cycling, you will understand. Remember how most people, I have had some clients that actually don't feel better when they are dropped of all glucose, but when you are in that state, you actually have a ton of energy, and you're not even close to hungry. And you're like, what is this? It's because your body has completely transferred over, and it's now it's depleted even all the glycogen, and it's now breaking down adipose tissue, which is a higher concentration of stored energy. It's breaking apart the fatty acids from the glycerol backbone to get some glucose so it can feed your brain. And so you feel better. So a lot of people feel really good. That's honestly why a lot of people out on the internet and a lot of other trainers and such, that they do encourage ketogenic dieting and drop your carbs, and without the full explanation, the full picture of why they're saying this. Just be careful. Make sure you understand all the different facets. And again, remembering that every individual will be different. And so it's very important that for you, we find the best approach. There is no blanket statement for everyone and anyone. Even Power Foods Lifestyle, I don't feel is for everyone. Okay, I feel it's for most people, but other people may need manipulations of it.
Some people, I can manipulate Power Foods Lifestyle to be a carb backloading program. I can manipulate it to be a ketogenic program. What the Power Foods Lifestyle does is it gives us correct assimilations of what food translates to be in terms of grams and portion sizes. And then as we continue learning, as you're learning through my books, through my YouTube videos, through my podcast, that then you start to learn that, oh my gosh, there's so much manipulation that can happen. There's manipulation in terms of where your PVF meals go. How many PVC meals? There have been times I feed some of my athletes a triple PVCCC. And that probably blows your mind, but that's where my custom coaching comes in. And so if Power Foods Lifestyle Structure is working for you, great, stay with it. If you'd like to take it to the next level, I have 52 different models of Power Foods Lifestyle for different goals and types of people. Okay, so let's go into what some of the benefits of fasting are, because when we know the benefits, it can give us the strength and the courage to keep going.